impact study for this area at that time in August of 2022. And at that point, as part of that project, Navani Road was extended. It was constructed in 2023. I believe it's about 1,000 feet west of Edgewood Drive along their property. Extended further here with this VA clinic project. And then just recently, here at the end of October 2025, the Quick Trip opened. We did do a traffic impact study for that in April 2024. No other improvements were constructed as part of that. Just the existing extension of Navani Road was good enough to accommodate that Quick Trip. In this area, it's a little bit hard to see on that map, but there's some black kind of dotted lines for the future roadway extensions planned in this area. One is a connection to the south to Wood Road, which we actually looked at as part of this study. One's a connection to the north to the existing Lake Forest Road, which we also looked at as part of this study. And then long term, there's a plan to connect Navani Road all the way west to Inglewood Drive. So the proposed VA clinic is just under 50,000 square feet in step heights. Is estimated to generate about 1,870 trips per day, 137 in the morning and 182 in the PM peak hour. As part of this project, Navani Road would need to be extended to the connection with Lake Forest Road, and then Lake Forest Road would need to be extended to the south.
Out of those numbers, I got up to 1,870.
So that's just the 2 peak hours. So the AM peak hour
gotcha.
and the PM peak hour. Yeah. So the 1870 throughout the whole day.
I
Those
thought
are
you
your
said
peak
you
hours.
said
Yeah.
AM peak.
No. Yeah. So 137 during the AM peak hour, which is about somewhere between 7 and 9, 7:30 to 8:30, let's say, and then PM peak hours generally 4:30 to 5:30.
Okay.
So as part of this project, Navani Road would be extended to Lake Forest Road, and then Lake Forest Road, a portion of that would be built extending south of Navani to the southern property line. And then as part of the project, the developer has proposed a mini roundabout at the intersection of Navani Road and Lake Forest Road. Again, talking about future roadway connections, we looked at a couple different alternatives for this project. We looked at an option where there's no new roadway connections, so all traffic would continue to come in and out of this area on Navani Road and using Edgewood Drive. Then we looked at the north-south connection to Woyda Road, so extending Lake Forest Road south from Navani all the way to Woyda, and that would provide second access to the neighborhood, likely used by traffic coming from the west and the south, and it would kind of relieve some of that traffic volume on Edgewood Drive, kind of the reliance on Edgewood and Navani for this development area. And the last one would be just a connection north to the existing Lake Forest Road, which would kind of create a loop with Lake Forest and Navani from Edgewood. What we found with that is there's limited benefit because, like I said, it just kind of creates a loop, so people are still coming in and out on Edgewood. It's just they have an option between Lake Forest and Navani. For traffic operations, we looked at 5 scenarios. We looked at the existing conditions, which were done for 2023, which is when the counts were done for the previous study. No build conditions for 2027 and 2032. And then I have a typo there. So we looked at the build conditions with no new roadway connections in 2027 and 2032. And then the build conditions with the north-south connection in 2077 and 2032. And then the connection to Lake Forest Road in 2027 and 2032. And the significance of those 2 years is 2027 is the projected year of opening, and then 2032 is 5 years after opening, which is kind of the industry standard for what you look at in terms of impact of that development. Each of our future scenarios include those trips from the previous study for the loss of Navani and Trip gas station. Under all scenarios, each intersection and approach operate at level service D or better. Generally what we found on Edgewood Drive, those intersections operated pretty well, level service B or better, with minimal delay in queuing. We found on 371, especially at the 2 signals, was that some of the movements operate at level service E. It's mostly just due to the cycle length. And the PM peak hour right now is about 150 seconds. So even if you're getting, let's say, 30 to 50 seconds for the side street, you're still waiting that 100 seconds between cycles while that 371 traffic is going. With the north-south connection down to White Road, overall delay is only slightly improved, up to 0.6 seconds per vehicle. Part of that is just you're only really benefiting traffic from the west and the south. There's still the traffic from the north coming in. So minimal improvement, but it does provide kind of that second access to the area and gives people route choice. With the extension to just the existing Lake Forest Road, we saw basically negligible change in traffic operations. Again, because you're basically just creating a loop. People are still coming in and out using Edgewood Drive. Overall, proposed VA clinic did not have significant impact on overall traffic operations. If you provided no new roadway connections. So no new roadway connections or intersection improvements are needed to accommodate the traffic. We did also look at the proposed accesses for the VA clinic. There's 3 of them, 2 on Navati Road and 1 on Lake Forest Road. What we found was the eastern Navati Road access needs to be moved. Generally, that should be, accesses should be spaced at least 100 feet on a road like Navati Road, and the current location, it's a little hard to see because their figure kind of cut it off, but it's about 30 feet from the existing quick trip access. So you can move that somewhere between 70 feet and 70 and 200 feet to basically keep it at least 100 feet from that western access that's proposed, but you also want it to be 100 feet from the quick trip access. And that's basically to provide space for a left turn lane and that same left turn lane to be created between access points. The western access point, we looked at 2 things. It's at least 100 feet from other access points. And the other thing we looked at is you want to be about 260 feet from the proposed new roundabout at Navati and Lake Forest, just to provide sight distance for vehicles turning out of that driveway and for vehicles coming out of the roundabout. You want to be able to, I guess, see your vehicles coming out of the roundabout while you're making your turn. The Lake Forest Road access meets access spacing requirements. It's about 600 feet south of Navati Road, so no real concerns with the mini roundabout sight distance with that. As part of this study, we did look at, since the VA clinic didn't show a need for these connections, we looked at, well, when will you want to add these connections? Because we know as this area continues to develop, it's important to plan these roadway access points. So like I said, no access points were required from a traffic operations perspective with the VA clinic. But as development continues, roadways should continue to be extended along the frontage of each parcel at a minimum, just to make sure that you continue to build out your roadway system as you continue to develop so that it doesn't all have to be done at once later on. The Lake Forest Road connection to White Road should be considered when development continues north of Navati Road or west of Lake Forest Road. Essentially, it's a long way of saying whatever comes next. That next connection is recommended just because you're getting to the point now where you're looking at a little over 6,000 trips per day kind of from those 3 developments, and that's a lot to come in and out of one spot. Anything you added above that, then add a second at this point. Even if it's not needed from a traffic operations perspective, it'd be important just to provide route choice and kind of relieve some of that pressure on Edgewood Drive. Like I said earlier, the connection to existing Lake Forest Road provided minimal benefit just because it would only kind of serve as a loop. But once you connect south to Woida, you could have that connection to Lake Forest would also kind of provide relief for some of the businesses up there. That should be considered when development continues further beyond north of Navati Road, where developments are going to need access points onto Lake Forest Road, and it'll get to the point where it's close enough that you want to connect it. One of the things that the developer had looked at was an alternate north-south roadway, kind of west of the Lake Forest Road connection, kind of on the left side of that map. What we decided, or what we found is that if you move that further west, it's less likely to be used by people coming off of 371, just because now you're looking at going kind of past all the development to come back. So it didn't work as effectively as a reliever road. Not saying that that connection couldn't be made in the future, but that it shouldn't be made, it shouldn't replace the current Lake Forest Road planned connection. So the recommendations for this study were that based on traffic operations, no additional roadway or intersection improvements are needed to accommodate the VA clinic. That proposed access, the eastern access, should be moved to 70 to 200 feet to the west to make sure it's at least 100 feet from the quick trip access and the other VA clinic access. That the VA clinic project should extend Novotny Road to Lake Forest Road and Lake Forest Road to the south edge of their property, and that the intersection there should be constructed as a mini roundabout. Generally, when the VA clinic opens, with only having the 2 legs, there's not going to be a ton of traffic going through that roundabout, but that is the long-term recommended traffic control, and building it now would basically save a headache and having to reconstruct it here however many years would be needed. With that, does anyone have any questions?
Councilman Carson's, staff, anything to add? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor and Council, the second item on the work session is a discussion regarding annexation related to the 2026 Clearwater Road, North Lindale, Brentwood Circle Street Utility Improvement Project. As you recall, earlier this year, back in August, the council adopted a resolution ordering the said project to move forward. At the time, there was conversation related to the project. It was disclosed that there is a portion of the northern end of the project area related to Northdale that hovers right along the corporate limit lines of the city of Baxter. On the screen in front of you is a representation of that area. Lindale continues to go north and then bends to head towards Wida. The section line that follows here is the corporate limit line. At the time of the conversation, we talked about the exploration of annexation, and council had indicated that they wanted staff to look into it. Staff has worked with the city attorney to discuss the annexation process and things of that nature, and how to protect the city's interest based on the financial investment that's being made, as the city cannot assess unless the property is within the corporate limits. A email that is dated October 27th from city attorney Greta Bierkes outlines that process and indicates that the city could pursue annexation now or in the future. It can be pursued voluntarily by the property owner in that regard. At the time that the city was considering moving the project, city staff did have conversations with the property owner, Rod Oostepek, in regards to that. Mr. Oostepek had provided the city with a letter of objection, which was included in the file, was shared with the council at the time of the decision was made on moving the project forward, and is included in your packet tonight as well, kind of outlining the reasons why he is not supportive of annexation. As outlined in the the city could pursue annexation now or in the future. But city staff has followed her guidance in the context of making sure that we continue to provide notifications throughout this entire process. We intend to preserve the right to pursue assessment should the city decide to do so in conjunction with the project, or if the city wants to do it at a later date, or if the property owner or future owner were to seek annexation at a later date. After all the conversations with the city attorney, city staff is supportive of and recommending that the city pursue annexation in conjunction with the project, as we believe that doing so would ensure that all abutting property owners and benefiting properties are assessed fairly for the public improvement, and to ensure that the city's environmental and development goals and objectives are achieved. At this point in time, we reserve time today for conversation amongst the council as to the direction in which they would like the city staff to proceed one way or the other, so that we know how to wrap things up as plan specifications and the due process related to the assessment hearing should start in March, I believe. In March, and as such, not wanting, if the city was to move forward with annexation, there is a due process through the, I'll always refer to it as the Office of Administrative Hearings. They rename themselves, but the state board that hears the annexations, as outlined in Greta's email, they would have to take action within 60 days of receipt of the resolution that is necessary. And they have up to a year, so to provide a response in that. I don't believe that's taken that long, but they do have the right to hold for a year. In the event that we pursue annexation, we would withhold having the assessment hearing for the subject property until such time the property is annexed into the city or recognized by the state as being annexed into the city, and then go through the separate process of the public hearing related to 429 and the assessment process for the subject property. So with that, I'll turn it over to council if you have any questions of staff or want further information regarding the matter.
Council questions, comments?
I have a comment.
Okay.
I think it's been a long-term, I'll call it policy, but I'm sure it's not written down, that we didn't do forced annexations. And I consider this a forced annexation. Personally not for it.
Is there a way to find out if that has been written down?
I don't
Just
I
ask.
believe there's a.
There's not a written policy, no.
No, there's not a written policy, but that's been the stance. I can use another word.
Past
That's
practice.
been the
Past
past
practice.
practice of the council.
Yes, past practice for
As long as I've
27
been on
months.
it. So. Have we done forced annexations in the past recent history?
Yes, we did forced annexation in 2015 on Inglewood Drive in Delwood in order to get those two roads built.
The whole north side of Whitehall.
Golly, for a fireplace in 2003 or 4, we also.
Yeah. So we've done several forced annexations as well, but like you say, Mark, past practice has been is not to force annexation unless it's in the best interests of the city.
What if it goes to the administrative law judge, whoever his name is, and he would rule against us for that, then what's option B here?
Well, we would reserve our right to, in what we're already doing is preserving that right to assess the property if the property is annexed in the future. In the future, may it be voluntary or petition.
And how far into the future, because there's no limitation?
There's no limitation in that regard. Obviously, as with anything, as you get closer to urbanization, there's the efforts in wanting to urbanize the property even further. Not saying that the property owner wants to do that, but I can't, we can't speak in regards to future owners or things of that nature. Right now, under county rules, that could be subdivided, and septic systems and wells could be drilled in providing the sewer and water that's necessary for them to occupy the home. When there's an investment that's being made right now, that would allow that to occur in connection to the city's sewer and water system. That was part of the environmental goals that the city identified when they made the determination of moving forward with sewer and water into these already developed areas. It was one of the goals and objectives was for the environment, especially around the lakes.
I could speak and give you what a past practice is. A very good example is in 1998, City of Baxter built the North Water Tower and put the 12-inch water main from Inglewood down to 371, the Edgewood Drive intersection. And the north side of White Road was unorganized territory, not in the city, so the city did not assess at that time. Then 15 years later, decided to take and finish the sanitary sewer and rebuild the road with curb and gutter and bike pedestrian trail, which went in 2014. So in 2013, 15 years later, they annexed the remaining properties. There was some voluntary annexations along there that developed in that 15 years as well. But the remaining properties that were still in unorganized territory, the city did a forced annexation and then assessed that outstanding water main costs from 1998. So there's been many different ways that the city has done it over the years.
Got a couple of questions that tie into expertise more than the statement. I'm just curious, it doesn't necessarily tie directly to the assessment itself or the annexation, but the blue horizontal line is the county-city border, is that correct?
Correct.
So can you refresh my memory on what we're doing with that road in that northeast corner of this that's technically in the county? Does the project stop right at the line?
The project does go all the way out to White Road.
We have a right-of-way easement that runs along to that point of intersection with Garrett Lake.
Okay.
Which we voluntarily granted when we did the road at no cost to the city.
Yeah, back in our early 90s or late 80s? Late 80s. So even though it's not in our city limits, we have the right to use it for street.
And then do you have any context on, maybe it's just that I haven't seen something like this before right now, but often when there's jurisdictional boundaries like this, you'd see the boundary run through the middle of a road, and then the north side would be county and the south side would be city. But I guess it's interesting to me that the driveway enters the city street, but it's a county property.
Yeah. The history is the developer owned all the land to the south where all the houses were built in there. So he took and did his right-of-way, 66 feet of right-of-way dedication on the plat as far as he could. And at that time, then Rod took and granted the easement to get out to Whiter Road across his property. So it's just how it developed, because there was no houses, that was all just trees and stuff, that was all houses built in that North Dale development.
So the north right-of-way line is his south property line.
Correct, and the corporate limit line. All one and the same, but it's also the section line too.
And Councilmember Tabbitt, if this was being platted or proposed today, we wouldn't be looking at accepting right away. That creates those conflicts.
Sure. Okay.
You know, it's something that we've inherited. I think in the eighties, there really wasn't a city staff at the time.
No.
In that regard, and not knowing what professional advice was given to the council at that time. But we would see that as a challenge or a item that would be acceptable to our standards today. We'd be looking for the developer to be doing something that would create a roadway that is accessible on both sides within a couple of
Probably was created almost 50 years ago, so. And it worked at the time. It worked for what everybody wanted at the time, met everybody's needs, but.
So I have a question. If we do push the annexation, does it delay the project at all?
No, as City Attorney Bjerknes has indicated, you know, the process doesn't stop. At the time of an assessment hearing, we would withhold this property from being on the assessment roll. And once, if annexation was awarded, then we would start, you know, our own assessment hearing process for the property in question. But in the meantime, City Attorney has suggested that we continue to provide notification to preserve our rights to assess in the future should annexation not occur. That's what we've been doing since the beginning of this process back in March, April.
So if it is annexed, that would include the stub outs for sewer, water, for all of those, the potential properties on there. If it's not assessed, or if it's not annexed, there's no stub outs.
No, we still put the stub outs in,
Okay.
because we don't want to tear the road up in the future, but the city would hold all those costs and those assessment costs till a future date when it was annexed into the city.
So they would be there and available to hook up, and we could basically defer the assessment to be like, okay, well, we're not charging it now, but we know we have hookups.
It's really what they used to call a future connection charge type. That it's there, it's available in the future, but the landowner has to annex in order to hook to them. So if they wanted to develop their property, you know, sell it, develop it to a developer and put 3, 4, 5 houses, whatever's allowed on there, then they could take and annex at that time and hook up to those water and sewer stubs.
Gotcha. And it would be readily available.
Yeah.
So how many ERUs are you proposing for
The
that?
practicality test that was done at the early stages of the feasibility study indicated for ERUs. I believe that copy of that was included in the packet.
I'm sure it was, yeah.
Kind of showing that, you know, in the context of annex, you know, of any assessment, you know, there's the right to appeal and things of that nature, which is something that is a right to do through the assessment process. It's not discussed or negotiated at annexation, but it'd be something in that regard. But to answer your question, the practicality test identified for
So under our standard practice then, typically what has our actual cost been for 100-foot lots lately?
It's estimated at about almost $20,000 per assessment.
Not that assessment, the actual cost.
Well, the actual cost is about,
between
it's right around, I want to say it's around almost 70,000. We haven't run that number on that feasibility study, but when we did it last year for South Forest View was $62,000 a lot. It's gone up, so I'm guessing it's close to 70,000.
So if we do this, we put an $80,000 potential assessment onto the homeowner, and then we, as a city, assume $200,000 to have them into our city, plus then whatever legal costs there would be to do the annexation and whatever costs they would have to question it or fight it or whatever, so I don't see the financial feasibility of it personally. I mean, if they wanted it and wanted to develop it and do that, great. Come into our city free will and be happy about it and join the city, but to drag somebody in kicking and screaming that doesn't necessarily want or need a sewer right now, just for the sake of the project, it's not necessarily gonna lower the cost of the project. I think it's gonna be the same cost, and we're gonna pick up $200,000. But we're picking up $50,000 of every single lot we do today, so I don't know how any of this is feasible, because I haven't seen the CIP report lately, which we should be seeing anytime now, I would assume, on how we're gonna pay for all this.
I'll figure out how we're gonna put the stubs in. We're done tearing roads up. People change their minds later on, so we're not gonna do that. So we're gonna put the stubs in. We're gonna have X number of dollars there. The advantage to those people is that at any time they change their mind, they're good to go. So how do we carry it? How do they share in the cost of having that availability and us putting them in prematurely, if you want to call it that? And I'm not sure what the mechanism is to share the responsibility and cost on something that's gonna get put in, it's gonna have a cost to us too, so I don't know if anybody's following what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the other part of this that is beyond the equation of the cost of sewer and water is the street. You do have a property owner that is utilizing a city street and not paying for the maintenance and service that is related to it. Not saying that it equates to doing the project, but it is another aspect of it that
It is.
if the property was being accessed off of Garrett, it's a different conversation, but there is utilization of city services without having taxes paid for those services.
Yeah, let me put this in, let me throw the numbers in a little different way. Say we annex, they come in, you're gonna put the 4 stubs in, and it's gonna get paid for. That's part of the project. However, you're only gonna assess them $20,000 until they decide they wanna split it up into 4 lots. But what you have done is you will be putting $60,000 lien on their property that goes up with interest every year, so that when they go to sell it, or their kids go to sell it at a later date, they'll have to pay that out of the proceeds of it. So you're locking the property up with a total 80,000 or 20 now and 60 later plus interest, which that will delayed
In the context of,
that we haven't ever fixed.
well, we have to move away from future protection charges that is in our assessment policy. We've moved to the deferment process, so when we one assessment, the others would be deferred until that first one is paid off, and then the following 15 years, or final 15 years of the assessment.
So they'll just pay for
Yeah, it's, I think, $1 a year,
60
right?
years.
Under the deferment's $1 a year on those 3 ERUs.
Until the first one's paid and the same time?
Because under the assessment laws, you only have 30 years to pay.
Oh, that's great. That's even better, I didn't realize that.
I think the point that Mayor brought up though is interesting. Can formula be found, or is there a formula where the cost would be shared since there's benefit to the property owners?
No, being that it's not in the corporate limits, we do not have the ability to assess for any of the public improvements unless it's within the corporate limits. What the attorney has provided is making sure we dot i's and cross t's so that we identify it as a future assessment in the future. So that's assessing it, or going through the process if it was in there, identifying what the ERUs are, what the proposed assessment would be, but not adopting the assessment itself, the assessment itself.
You get a chance to say a few things?
Sorry?
Mr.
You get a chance to say a few
Uspak
things?
Mr. Uspak is wondering if he would have the ability to say a few words.
Not supposed to in a workshop, but, go ahead.
Well, first of all, it's not 4 hookups, it's 3. They've got this divided along square footage lines, and they've got our garage separated from the house, which is detached, so it's only gonna be 3 if it goes forward. That's one thing. But this causes a myriad of problems for us. It took us, we've been here 40 years, and it took us 4 different acquisitions to put our place together with the amount of green space that we have. So we actually have 2 lots that are 800 feet long, one's by 170 and one's by 150, and they're taxed together. So you're gonna split our land into 2 different taxing districts. One belongs to the county, and the other's gonna belong to the city. And so our taxes are gonna go up, you know, geometrically probably with different, the lot to the north of this is also ours. So it's all one parcel as it stands now. So we don't wanna have to go through that split. We're outdoors people, and we're about green space, and we just love the wildness of Wider Road and our neighborhood and the green space we provide. Everybody likes to go down the street because of the atmosphere and the trees we planted, and, you know, I don't know, it's just, we just don't feel like we're a good fit for the city of Baxter and its annexation in any way, shape, or form. That's all I have to say.
Thank you. And the issue of fairness, so Trevor, some of these lots on the south of the dam have gotten divided, and they're getting 2 assessments.
Yes.
And some of the people are already started to divide up, and it's my understanding anyway, so they have less than you've got, and they're still getting divided, getting 2 assessments, so just the fairness issue, I guess I throw out there about, there's a lot of big lots. Sorry, go ahead.
I don't know that I'm just looking at the map, and clearly, as staff mentioned, like, this should not and could not be allowed now in the sense that you have all of the access on the city side, like the idea that we have a driveway that accesses a city-owned street that's outside the city, it's a struggle for me. Does that mean that instead of waiting for the sheriff's office for a call for service, the Baxter Police Department responds to that call, aside from just, like, all Baxter benefits accrue to that lot without any taxation for the city, correct?
Correct.
So they're not figured under our fire contract though?
No, that would be under first, or
They're
the
first.
Yeah,
First
north
Street.
side, First Street.
The only reason the police respond to it is because of, our agreement with all the, what do we call that agreement?
Mutual aid.
Mutual aid, correct? I mean, they're not calling out the Baxter police.
It's a Baxter address, is it not?
No, it's a Brainerd address. Yes. Yeah, Brainerd, Minnesota, 56401.
It's strange that it's
It's a
set up
Garrett
this way.
Lane address.
What?
It's a Garrett Lane address.
Yeah, the history is back
Brainerd,
in the
Minnesota,
80s.
56401.
The developers are basically putting whatever they wanted to. And in this case, they wanted more lots to the south, so they pushed the road to the north. They couldn't get the north property to join into their subdivision, so they just built the road to maximize out the number of lots they could within their subdivision, and that's kind of the way things worked back then. And it's a lot better now. We've got rules. Unfortunately, because we didn't have rules back then, we shouldn't be punishing somebody for the fact that it ended up this way. It's not our fault it ended up this way. It's not their fault it ended up this way. But they're gonna pay for it. And depending on how it goes about, they end up 15 years down the road, now all of a sudden they paid their 20, or their first assessment, now they've got 3 more to pay for.
So is there an alternative world where we say there are no stubs on that side of the road and it is not an option to obtain city services?
The city could do that, but the advisement from city staff would be not to do that for the disruption, as Trevor alluded to, in regards to tearing up the road. And also, in regards to making sure that that's accessible for urbanization. If we don't, we're locking ourselves into the status quo. And the one thing that we do know is we continue, as a city, continue growing. Might not be at a fast pace, but as it does proceed, this will become urbanized and we'll need those services.
The water and sewer stubs are minimal cost. The biggest cost is in the main line sanitary sewer, the main line water line, and building the actual street. So the sewer stubs, if you wanted to leave all 4 of those out and all 4 curb stubs, you're probably talking less than $16,000 total of the $280,000. It's minimal cost.
We've lived through this before, and people say, never gonna sell my land, never gonna divide it. We put in a new road, they come in, well, I think we wanna divide it out. Johnny wants a lot, and then we're tearing up a brand new road to get those stubs in there, that just goes against the grain. So whether it's 16,000 or not, we need to put them in, in my opinion, when we go by there to avoid that kind of a scenario there. But anyway, that's fairly minor.
Well,
Just one other point, if I might. We paid forward our use of that road by granting the city of Baxter that easement for nothing. We paid forward. If you know what I mean, if you don't understand. That part of that road where it says Lindale Lane, just for the sake of our neighbors, for the sake of the city of Baxter, we're good citizens, we went along, we paid our share of tarring that road, and also gave easement at no cost. So, but this is totally different, like Mark said, we're getting dragged in, kicking and screaming. It's life changing for us. So, that I will say.
Well, I think we all hear you, where you're coming from.
what is the question for us right now? Are we supposed to be giving consensus to?
Consensus if we were to pursue annexation or not.
I'm personally not in favor right now. annex. I think if you wanna do stubs in future, there's a assessment that could be assessed there, but I don't want to move forward on annexation myself.
Your thoughts?
I don't think I'm comfortable moving forward with annexation there.
Okay.
I mean, I understand the hookups and everything. Is there something that could be accessible? Because you said that you paid for your portion of Lindell Road in the past. Is there, no, it's not city limits, we can't assess it.
Yeah.
Now you understand the conundrum, and what we wrestled with internally.
Mark? Okay. Mr. Dyson is.
Well, that's the directive we need. We'll inform the city attorney that we're not going to pursue annexation at this time.
Just for what it's worth, you know, it's not done anyway because the law judge may not agree with us anyway, then it would be done. And as far as your 3 lots versus 4, that still could be handled at a later point in time during the assessment hearing. So they're not for naught. Those two things could change the whole complexion too. But anyway, for now, I guess, you know.
For now, we're not going to pursue annexation.
Okay, we're gonna have to move right into, we'll have to catch our last one maybe during your,
Sure.
comments.
Merry Christmas.
Yeah, you do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mayor, if you want a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can we start the meeting, Mayor? Thank you and welcome. Any additions or changes, Brad?
There are none, Your Honor.
Any public comments written?
We received no public comments.
Any public comments? Anybody have anything you'd like to address us about that's not on the agenda? We'll entertain those comments at this point. Seeing none, we'll move forward. The consent agenda, the following items are considered non-controversial by staff and are recommended to be read and passed in one motion. Any councilperson, staff, citizen, or meeting attendee can request one or more items be pulled from the consent agenda. The item will be pulled and addressed immediately after the passage of the agenda. Otherwise, it'll all be passed in one motion. Number 1, approve the city council special minutes from November 25th, 2025. Number 2, approve city council special minutes from December 1st, 2025. Number 3, approve the city council work session minutes from December 2nd, 2025. Number 4, approve the city council minutes from December 2nd, 2025. Number 5, approve the payment of bills and finance report. Number 6, approve the renewal of the lower potency edible registration and medical cannabis combination registration for the period of January 1st, 2026 through December 31st, 2026. Number 7, approve and authorize execution of prosecution services agreement for 2026 through 2028. Number 8, accept utilities commission minutes from December 3rd, 2025. Number 9, accept the Baxter VA Clinic Development Traffic Impact Study Report. Number 10, approve the Veteran Community-Based Outpatient Clinic Development Agreement. Number 11, approve the First Amendment to Settlement Agreement for property located at 7256 White Road. Number 12, approve the Stormwater Facilities Maintenance Agreement with access rights and covenants for the Veterans Community-Based Outpatient Clinic. Number 13, approve the Veteran Community-Based Outpatient Clinic Construction, Repair, and Maintenance Agreement for sanitary sewer and water Servicing Program Update Project Memorandum. Number 16, approve the Bolton and Mink proposal for engineering services in the not to exceed amount of $59,312 for the 2026 microsurfacing project. Number 17, approve the SEH contract in the not to exceed amount of $4,400 for the Novotny Road Assisted Living traffic review. Number 18, approve the Trout Company's final pay estimate number 5 in the amount of $45,456.25 for work completed on contract A related to the 2025 water supply improvements of wells 5 and 6. Number 19, approve the Pratt's Affordable Excavating Inc. change order number 3 in the increased amount of $24,513.69 for contract B related to the 2025 water supply improvements, wells 5 and 6 project, municipal project number 6011-45040. Number 20, approve Pratt's Affordable Excavating Inc. partial pay estimate number 7 in the amount of $45,889.75 for work completed on contract B related to the 2025 water supply improvements of wells 4, 5, and 6 municipal project number 6011-45040. Number 21, approve the R.L. Larson Excavating Inc. change order number 10 in the increased amount of $4,196.52 for the 2024 South First View Improvements Project, municipal project number 4138. Number 22, approve the Anderson Brothers Construction change order number 5 to the increased amount of $97,999.90 and amend the project budget to $1,168,633.46 for the 2025 Commercial Full Depth Reclamation Improvements Project, municipal project number 4425. Number 23, approve the Anderson Brothers Construction partial pay estimate number 3 in the amount of $488,004.51 for the 2025 Commercial Full Depth Reclamation Improvements Project, municipal project number 4425. Number 24, approve the Whitsett fee amendment for the professional services in the amount of $38,407 for a total revised not to exceed contract of $216,832 for the 2025 Mill and Overlay and Full Depth Reclamation Improvements Project, municipal project number 4425. Number 25, approve J.R. Furchy Inc. partial pay estimate number 4 in the amount of $10,473 for the 2025 Design Road of the Trunk Highway 371 Stormwater Improvements Project, municipal project number 4135. Number 26, approve the Whitsett fee amendment for professional services in the amount of $7,750 for a total not to exceed contract amount of $111,498 for the 2026 Mill and Overlay and Full Depth Reclamation Improvements Project, municipal project number 4426. Number 27, approve the Whitsett proposal for professional engineering services in the not to exceed amount of $4,500 for the water service saddle review. Number 28, approve the Whitsett agreement for the professional engineering services in the not to exceed amount of $15,000 for the 2027 Mill and Overlay and Full Depth Reclamation Improvements Feasibility Report. Number 29, approve the KLM engineering proposal for drawing review and inspection services during the AT&T and antenna modifications on the North Tower in the amount of $12,075. Number 30, approve the Treatment Resources Inc. quote for the amount of $11,160.49 for the anthracite filter medium material. Number 31, adopt ordinance number 2025-013, amending Title 8, Chapter 1, Waterworks, and Title 8, Chapter 2, Sewer and Use Service for the city, Baxter City Code. Number 32, adopt resolution 2025-100, setting the 2026 fee schedule. 33, adopt resolution 2025-101, approving the 2026 property tax levy of $9,678,700. Number 34, adopt resolution 2025-102, approving the 2026 annual operating budget of $26,538,700. 35, accept planning and zoning commission minutes from December 9th, 2025. Number 36, adopt resolution 2025-097, 7, approving the preliminary and final plat of Clearwater Park. Number 37, adopt resolution 2025-098, approving the preliminary and final plat of Second Potlatch addition to Baxter. Number 38, approve appointments to the seasonal position of warming house attendants. I'll pull that one.
I missed,
Pardon
missed one.
me? I missed 38, we'll go back.
Different 38.
38, adopt resolution, adopt resolution 2025-099, approving the preliminary and final plat of veterans. Then 39, approve the appointments, I'm gonna pull that. Number 40, approve the IT GIS temporary services agreement with the city of Brainerd. Number 41, approve the revision to the city of Baxter's investment policy. Number 42, approve an authorized execution of a 3-year contract with Lakes Area Wildlife Control for animal control services. Number 43, approve the appointment of Kathy Clark and reappointment of Gwen Carlton to 3-year terms on the planning commission.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion and second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. I was not aware until I read my packet that one of my grandkids applied for this job and was interviewed and was hired, so I just want to make the declaration here. I had nothing to do with that, but make the proclamation that he is my grandson, so I'll make a motion to approve that.
Second.
And all in favor?
Aye.
Okay,
Mayor, just for point of clarification, you abstain from
I
that?
will do that, yeah. Other business, 44.
Thank you, Mayor. As council is aware, Crow Wing County Department is planning to reconstruct County Road 170 from the Cass County line to 400 feet east of Mountain Ash Drive. Tonight, we have Jordan Larson from the Crow Wing County Highway Department here. Mr. Larson and the county are seeking consent, a municipal consent from the city on the proposed improvements that are moving forward. The plans and specifications have been reviewed by the Public Works Director, who has found no issues or concerns and would recommend acceptance. In addition to municipal consent, the county does need to obtain right-of-way easements on 3 parcels which the city owns on the project corridor. With that, they have submitted offers for those right-of-way easements. And so tonight, looking to pass a resolution 2025-104, which provides municipal consent for the county and accepts and authorizes execution of the right-of-way easement offers that were presented by the county for those 3 properties. So with that, I'll turn it over to Jordan. If you want to make that formal request.
Yes, so like Brad said, Jordan Larson, the Crow Wing County Highway Department, I've been here a few times to kind of go over this project with you, and, coming here tonight looking for municipal consent on this reconstruction project, as well as those 3 parcels that the county will be looking to purchase right away for this reconstruction project. What I thought I'd do is just kind of give you a brief overview of where we started the project, where we went, and how we came to this before I finish up. So what I just wanted to say was, so when we first started this project, we came up with a list of goals. Safety was #1 concern, whether you're a pedestrian, a motorist. There was a lot of safety deficiencies on the road, and we felt that just paving it or overlaying it with some bituminous was not a viable option. It would be irresponsible of us to do that with all the safety deficiencies, drainage deficiencies, and all the other problems that exist. So when this came into our 5-year plan, we decided that a reconstruction project was the best option for this road. So along with safety, like I said, there was a lot of design deficiencies out there. We wanted to improve the pavement quality and define the right of way, protect the environment out there because there are some endangered or threatened species in the area. So we wanted to make sure we were looking at that. We wanted to try to minimize property impacts, which is a little bit difficult when you're expanding the right of way, but as we've gone through the right of way process, we've been working with all the property owners to try to do what we can to try to minimize those impacts. And just work with each one of them on an individual basis. And then we wanted to try to create a design that discouraged high speeds, because we got a lot of comments on the speeds out on that road, so we tried to make that point as well. Through the design process, we've gone with the 12-foot lane, 6-foot paved shoulder, which we've got a lot of positive comments on for pedestrian use out there. In most of the rural areas, we're expanding out the right of way up to that 50-foot mark on each side, so that we can construct those ditches to better control the drainage. And also to help with the sight lines for people leaving their driveways and whatnot. There's been a lot of issues and complaints from residents out there that they can't see around the trees, or they can't see over the vertical curves in the road to see if there's traffic coming. So clearing trees out to that 50-foot mark and creating those ditches will certainly help with that. In the urban areas where we've got curb and gutter, we were able to shrink the right of way down to the 33 feet, which that area is mostly near Mountain Ash, and so that area will remain relatively the same from a right of way standpoint. From an environmental standpoint, we've got some with the landing turtles in the area, we've got some turtle crossings, as well as mountable curb and gutter, so that to help the turtles as they're crossing the road, so there's not a barrier curb there that they're not able to get over, as well as a structure to help control some of the impacts that water coming into the storm sewer off the road before it gets to that creek. We're putting in structure to kind of filter out some of the sediment and stuff, to help that settle out before it gets to the creek and then out of the Mississippi. So we're looking at it from an environmental standpoint in that area as well, to try to keep our waters as clean as we can. And then also a right turn lane near Mountain Ash for westbound traffic, I think will help as well. Just looking at the schedule coming up, the municipal consent and finishing up the right of way is what I'm looking at doing here tonight and throughout the rest of this month. We've got a couple more right of way acquisitions to make. They're all going well. It's just a matter of dealing with Potlatch and their chain of command in order to get that right of way in hand. As far as a project bid date, we're looking at bidding the project in February. And that's for the main construction contract. And then for the tree clearing contract, we're looking to bid that in February as well. But that would actually, the tree clearing would take place this February or March, a couple months before the main construction takes place. And then we're looking at an April-May construction start date, which is all kind of dependent on road restrictions and weather and whatnot. And then a completion date September of next year, hopefully before school starts, so all the buses are able to run the road, and we'll do our best to get the project to a point where traffic can pass through. And one thing I forgot to mention, during construction, we have a crowing alert. I think it's a text and email messaging system that we'll be sending out to all the residents on the road. They're able to sign up, receive updates on the project, so they know whether or not they can access town through the east, through the west, or just kind of, it helped on previous projects to keep people up to date and keeps them sometimes out of the construction zone where they shouldn't be. Other than that, was there any questions for me?
Council, any questions? Be nice to get that done.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you.
Yes.
So it looks like, Brad, number 44, we have to pass a resolution to accept the easements.
Yes, we wrapped it up into one resolution, so it's one motion for both the consent and the acceptance and authorization for execution of the easements.
Move for that motion. Move to adopt resolution 2025-104.
Session by Zach. Second by Cross. Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
And then we have to have a public hearing here on vacation portion of the right of way. So we'll open that public hearing. We'll go ahead and give us a background.
Oh, no, I think you're good. I was just gonna say this is related to the Clearwater Park plot that was on the consent agenda. So it's just like to open the public hearing, as you just said.
Okay. We'll open it at 7:24. Anybody here to address the subject? Seated on close it at 24:15.
Motion to approve resolution 2025.
Second. Second.
Motion McGrath, second by Lisser. All in favor?
Aye.
Both same side. Motion carries. Okay, very good. Councilor comments, Connie?
I think in light of the snow events that have taken place, I wanted to thank the crews for being out there and elements and working hard, especially knowing that they're down a staff member from what I understand. And then a very important question for Chief Meyer. With Christmas Eve coming up, are you still going to be on the lookout on the radar for Santa Claus asking for a friend? That's all.
Zach?
I just want to take a minute to thank the mayor, the council, and staff for a productive year. I know our work often feels challenging and difficult. We have decisions that are not always the most enjoyable to make. And I think that's generally caused by the growth and success that you see, as you referenced, Mr. Mayor, earlier tonight. We always have to concern ourselves with the future because a lot of people and businesses want to invest in this community. I think that's extremely rare for a city with fewer than 10,000 residents, and we're positioned in this place and an economic location where we are working on a lot of issues that a lot of peer cities in terms of population just don't have to deal with. And I think everyone has done a good job of working together and keeping everything as civil and respectful and professional as we could ask. With millions of visitors and all of the business that happens here, I think we could see staff or all the work that we do be 5 times more than what a normal city of this size would have. So appreciate the fact that everybody has worked so hard to do everything as best that we all can. So thank you all for the good year.
Good, thank you. Patrick?
Can't follow that.
No, I have no comment.
Mark?
I just have to agree with both so far. I agree.
I wasn't putting it together. This is our last meeting, isn't it? So I would echo all of that too. And it's been a great council to work with. When I travel in my circle, I hear horror stories about what some people are experiencing. It just doesn't happen here. It's just, even when we don't agree, it's still peaceful and we move on. And so I appreciate everybody's, and same thing with the staff. It is a great city. Thanks to everybody working at it. City Administrator.
Thank you, Mayor. We did not have time to go over the last item that was on the work session, but we do need to seek consensus or a nodding of the heads in regards to the sales tax extension that the city will be pursuing at this upcoming legislative session. Included in the work session pack was an outline that was done by Finance Director Vasinic in the context of the 4 areas in which the city staff is proposing, along with the assistance of our legislative consultants and our financial attorney, are proposing to structure the proposed legislation. In order to do so, we need to wrap up and have a resolution adopted by the council at the first meeting in January so that we can submit the resolution along with the proposed legislation early January to the tax chairs of both the House and Senate. And just looking for an I don't know if Jeremy wants to expound on those 4 areas, but really remaining focused on the 3 areas that we have with our existing, which is water system improvements, wastewater system improvements, traffic, roadway improvements, and the last one is replacing the sewer and water out to the airport with the money to be put towards law enforcement facilities and furniture for a new facility, which is part of the overall city hall discussion that we've been having over the last few years. That's the nutshell. Don't know if you have any questions. But generally supportive of those 4 legs per se, and we move forward with getting the resolution finalized and before you on that. It's January 6th, I believe, is the first council meeting of the year, so. I don't know if you have anything else to add.
I have a presentation, but for some time, I'll speak on it over the years.
Quick question. Are these numbers something that we are married to at this point, or is there future flexibility?
Just in, excuse me, just in summary, part of the process has changed since we got the original authorization in 2006 and then followed up with a 14 extension. Now, as Brad alluded to, we do need to identify specific projects, up to 5 maximum, that need to go before the tax chairs for their initial review. Let's put it before the bill is introduced. And then each of those projects need to be specifically identified on the ballot question, so you'll be voting on each project. So the dollar amount would have to be locked in specifically for each project. Where in the past we had flexibility with that.
So is it similar to the bonding where you can't move money from one side, one of those subject to another?
Yeah, so what we identified basically was looking at the fact that we have about $23 million of various water plant projects, or projects that was identified. So kind of trying to look at a balanced approach, I guess, between these 4 areas, because then it helps not only the water rates and the sewer rates, but it also would help the property tax levy, similar to what we did with the previous authorizations, where we were looking at that. So I mean, certainly if there are things, I guess, that the council wants to see, different, I guess we can adjust that, I guess, either now or with the final adoption of the resolution in January.
How specific do the projects have to be? Do they have to be clearly, very specifically identified?
That's one of the things we're probably trying to test the waters a little bit, because obviously it's special legislation, so each legislation is written a certain way. Cities have done it always, but as I mentioned, they've kind of tried to get more specific on the project. So we're trying to look at more of an approach that we have water improvements, which includes not only water treatment plant, but potentially additional water tower, for example. And then specifically with the traffic safety improvements, that abut or impacted, I guess I should say, by 371, 210 improvements. We looked at the roundabouts at the various intersections. So for example, Douglasburg, Cypress, the identification of a roundabout potentially there in the future. The extension of Fairview to Excelsior at some point, it's going to necessarily be needed. The Island Glory roundabout, the Cypress potentially extension. So we're trying to identify those projects. We're trying to keep them in an umbrella, so to speak, approval.
As it relates to water and wastewater, we utilize the CAPS, the capital asset management plans that were done. With the water, the city's water was done by SEH, and then with the wastewater plant, Bolton and Maine completed that earlier this year. So using those dollar amounts in guiding us to lay out the proposed improvements that we're trying to cover within those areas.
Yeah, for example, I guess I missed the wastewater one, for example. There was about $54 million course, potentially the projects identified, that would be the city of Baxter's share of the roughly $9 or $97 million in total project costs. So we kind of focus more on the first phase of that, which potentially would be the bio, on PFAS potential improvements.
Are you actually putting the PFAS in there? Are you actually identifying PFAS?
That's the area that we're continually trying to get clarification on.
Why is it our last meeting that we're in, that probably shouldn't be identified? It's unessential until regulations change.
Yeah, we're refining that a little bit further.
Caught that, Zach?
Yeah, I wouldn't expect it to be short term, but again, that, I think 32 million is a pretty conservative estimate of an amount that we're likely going to be on the hook for by the time the end of 20 years comes around.
And that didn't even include PFAS.
Yeah, that's pre-PFAS.
Yeah, that was the changes they need to extend us 25 years. And not deal with PFAS yet. There's more to come to that money, because so far they've only showed us the liquid side of it, not the solid side of it. And the next meeting, we'll see some more money.
Yeah, we're trying to remain as flexible, I guess, as we can, knowing that, hopefully there will be other funding sources too for some of those huge costs, because, you're looking at, at least from those initial studies that SEH did, $97 million potentially is a pretty significant amount, so that both cities are gonna have to tackle.
Anything else?
I just think to that point, my big concern with the sales tax extension is just that we're in a position where, as my comment noted, we're in a strange position compared to many other cities of our size. And our alternatives are property taxes and water and sewer rates. Most of these costs are kind of a non-negotiable, it's going to happen.
Right.
So my personal take is that I'm very much in favor of giving a good explanation to the state as to why these costs are important to us, because we don't have a lot of alternatives, and this is a tax that the public can choose through their purchasing decisions to at least minimize to a certain degree, where you don't have that flexibility when it's a property tax and it's the 8,000 residents of the city that we're talking about. So that's just my thought, keeping it as flexible and open. If you can get more, that would be a wonderful authorization, and that I think the 32 million is easily going to be well exceeded.
Okay, so you want to show hands?
No, unless there is an opposition to what was presented in the packet, I would just indicate that we'll move forward in getting the resolution, the support documentation necessary to have in front of you on the first meeting in January.
Okay, sounds good. On to recovery, I guess. Anything else, Brad?
We just have, under city attorney's report, item 51, is going into closed session pursuant to Minnesota statute section 13D.03 for labor negotiating discussions. So,
I'll make a motion to close the open.
Just before you do that, there was one question that I forgot to ask. Trevor, probably to you, but the project we just talked about earlier tonight, that neighborhood up there, have notices been sent out, potential individual costs on that one yet or not?
On the 2026, Liddell, yeah, we've had the approval here.
So they have gotten a number,
Yes.
and that will change big time after tonight, so.
No,
No.
it doesn't change at all.
doesn't change.
City side change.
City side changes, but it doesn't change their assessments at all.
Okay.
No changes on the assessments to the homeowners.
Sorry.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that ends our regularly scheduled meeting today. Thanks for coming. Have a great holiday.